Oh, right. Hello, everyone. My name is Christopher Locke. I'm the IBPA Director of Membership and Member Services, and this is the Get to Know Your Member Benefits webinar series. We do these because we want you to make sure to take advantage of all the member benefits. And we know, for example, today's, we have a lot of IBPA book marketing programs. So this is a helpful way to go through all of them, get you up to speed on all the new ones we have, all the ones, the classics we've had forever. So we want to, hopefully get you all taking advantage of them and helping you thrive as publishers. We have two speakers today. Our Chief Content Officer, Lee Wynn's going to be the main speaker. And then Sean McDonald, Project Manager, he's going to be for the NetGalley program a little bit later on. But first of all, hello, Lee.
Hey, hi. Thanks, Christopher, and thanks everyone for being here. And those of you watching, thank you for watching. All right, so I'm going to share my screen, and I want to give you a little bit of some context to start out with, some things to think about. Because when you're thinking about marketing, there are a lot of options. There are endless possibilities of things you can do. IBPAs try to come up with a bunch of benefits and programs to help you with your marketing, but I want us to all be on the same page when we talk about both the things that IBPA offers, things outside IBPA that you can avail yourselves of, and we are looking at moving forward with IBPA, really helping you find your path. So we have kind of generally two classes of members: independent publishers, people that publish people beside themselves, and people that are in the first few years, first few books of their publishing journey, which we call Start Strong. And then people that have maybe, they've been doing this for 3 or more years, they have 10 books out, that's the level up category. And the same for author publishers. The people that are in the beginning of their journey and are still trying to master the basics, and then the people that are ready to level up. When you go to the IBPA website, most of the book marketing programs that I'm going to be talking about are found here. As you can see on the screen, I think you can see my cursor. I'm not 100% sure of that, but you go to store for publishers, and then it opens up this long list. And if you just click for publishers, you'll see all these sort of what we call these sort of product boxes in the little different categories. We'll be running through many of these today. And while it's not comprehensive, we hope to give you an overview. So you have a book and you're excited to get the word out about your book. But when you talk about marketing, there's actually 3 different kinds of marketing, right? Like you can talk about to build awareness of a single title. You can talk about building your brand as, you're going to have more than just this one book. What kind of books are you publishing? And then there's also the idea of sales of a single title. Another way to think about this is Paige Velasquez Buddy and Rusty Shelton did a webinar for us on marketing, and they have this idea of like a stadium, like a sports stadium. Imagine it's all set up for a concert, and you're on stage in that where it says audience 1. These are the people that already know about you and already have your book and love it. And like this is the audience that's already with you. Audience 2 are people that are in your stadium. They are part of your publishing universe. Maybe they're on your email list. Maybe they follow you on one of the social media platforms. They already know about you, but they haven't converted yet to buy your book. And then audience 3 is that world of people out there that would appreciate your book and you would like to reach, but they haven't yet bought your book. What Paige and Rusty explained so eloquently and helpfully is that it's a very big ask to get people to move from audience 3, where they don't know about you at all, to audience 1 directly, right? To, hey, you don't know about me, but buy my book. That is a big ask, and it's quite hard to do, and the statistics on that aren't great. People have better luck with marketing trying to convert people that don't know about you to come into the stadium, to understand who you are and to be excited about what you offer, and then work on converting audience 2 to audience 1. The people that already know about you but don't have your book yet, they're the people that are primed to get your book. So I found that those are helpful metaphors for thinking about book marketing. The other thing is that there's a lot of confusion about the difference between marketing and public relations. And I created this graphic because it kind of cracks me up, but it also makes me think, it helps me remember the difference. So marketing is building your own audience. That's like programs that help you build your email list. Like you're gathering, which is really important and really golden, you are gathering your own audience in that stadium, right? Public relations is you're getting in front of somebody else's audience. You're going on a podcast and talking about your book, and you're reaching that podcast's audience. You're getting reviewed in a trade publication. You're getting in front of that audience. You're getting a feature in, the New York Times. Congratulations, that's amazing. You're getting in front of the New York Times's audience. So that's sort of the difference. And oftentimes, established publishers will have different people tasked with, who's doing PR, who's doing marketing. There's overlap for sure. But it's helpful to think about that. Also, recognize when I want to say one more thing about email lists. That's really important because you can work for years to have a large following on a social media platform. And then overnight, they can change their algorithm and how things work. And suddenly you have to pay to reach the people that already said that they're interested in what you're putting out. Building an email list is something really worthwhile for everybody, for every member of IBPA, because you own that audience and you can control the messaging to them. So something to think about. Okay, so then when you're reaching out to an audience, there are two different kinds of audiences, right? There's the trade audience and there's a consumer audience. So every book is going to need some sort of vetting and social proof. Somebody besides you as the publisher has to say that this book is worthwhile. There is an absurd number of books being published every year. I believe now the number is over 2 million books just in the English, just in the US are being published every year. And that's probably a very low estimate because that's from Valker, the people that put out the ISBN numbers. But there are a lot of books that are being published that don't have ISBNs on some of the online platforms. Okay, so there are a bunch of ways of proving that your book has worth, right? One is blurbs, like either from a trade review or from somebody with standing in that field. Media coverage is another way of getting social proof. And consumer reader reviews and awards. So we run a few programs that dip into these things. The NetGalley program, which I'll talk about in more detail soon. The IBPA has our own book awards program that we've been running, I think, for 35 years, called the IBPA Benjamin Franklin Awards. And then we have our media outreach program, which is kind of PR, really. It's trying to get you and your book in front of other people's audiences. So when we're talking about reaching the trade, who is the trade, right? It's booksellers, it's librarians, it's foreign rights agents, it's industry media, and it's like Publishers Weekly or Shelf Awareness. It's industry influencers. And then there's also creators and other publishers. So IBPA runs a bunch of programs to help you reach the trade. In fact, that's kind of how we started out. 40 plus years ago, we started because there were a bunch of publishers in Southern California that all wanted to go to one of the big trade shows in New York City, but it was very expensive. Trade shows are very expensive. So they pooled their resources and they sent one person, Jan Nathan, our founder, as a representative with all of their books. And that's how IBPA got started. So that book fair doesn't exist any longer, but we do go to the American Library Association, to Frankfurt, and we are this year for the first time going to Bologna with our member books, and we are looking at going to Guadalajara as well. Publications, we have a bookstore catalog that comes out quarterly. We have a lot of cooperative magazine advertising, which I'll get into in more details later. And then we run programs, like I mentioned, NetGalley. We run a library Eblasts program, which is very cool because you get emails of librarians to follow up with that were the people that were interested in your book, the awards program, and the media outreach. Okay, so this screen is divided left side, right side. So left side is about bookstores and right side is about libraries. I've Also, in a sneak peek at what we're going to start doing on the website and pretty much everywhere across IBPA, I started adding some of the buttons about like, who is this appropriate for? So you'll see that like what is missing from the bookstore is author publishers who are starting out. Bookstores are a really hard market to crack, in particular because you not only have to have your book set up for them to buy it from someone they're already buying books at wholesale from, at the terms they expect, returnable. You also they need to be confident that someone's going to walk in off the street and ask for your book by title, that somebody on their staff is going to be so jazzed about your book, they're going to hand sell it to the next person that walks in the door, and that there's something about your book that feels so compelling, the title, the cover design, the subject matter, that they think the book's going to sell itself and they're going to shelve it face out. The more of those things you have, the better chance you have of getting into a bookstore. But if you don't have most of those things, I would advise that you should hold off on bookstore marketing and really focus on libraries and other kind of maybe direct to consumer and other kind of trade marketing opportunities. The blue boxes are things we're working on, or things we have, other things that aren't necessarily IBPA. We're not running the programs, but there are other ways that you can reach bookstores like shelf awareness and sales reps. We do have member benefits like Edelweiss, which is very important for bookstores. So it's an overlapping system, right? Like we have some programs we run, we have a bunch of benefits where we offer discounts for our members for certain things. And then there's also the universe of things outside of IBPA, things that we don't offer yet, that you can also avail yourself of. Oftentimes, it helps to think about what books are like yours that have done well recently in the past couple of years, and then sort of reverse engineer. Where did they get attention? Where did they get traction? And then you can reach out to those same people and organizations. And then on this side, the library side, there's also trade magazine advertising. There's the ALA conference, the library Eblasts. And then there's other organizations. If you have a book that's right for the school market, there are school library associations. There is a Jewish library association. Sometimes it really can help to go into your niche and really get traction there. Books aren't necessarily marketable to everybody. Everybody isn't a useful metric, right? So having focus can really, really help. Okay, I know that was a lot, but excuse me. I want to give you an overview of some of the trade magazine advertising we do. So we work directly with 3 trade publications, with Library Journal, with Publishers Weekly, and with Forward Reviews. And we will be distributing these slides with the recording, so don't feel like you have to take crazy notes. One of the things that is really cool about IBPA is within that same spirit of how we founded, we do a lot of cooperative programs, which it means that something's really expensive, we divide it between a bunch of our publisher members to make it accessible. So the cover of Publishers Weekly is a great example. Twice a year, we get the cover. To get the cover yourself would be like $12,000 to $14,000. But we put 10 or 12 books on the cover, and then it's less than $1,000 for every participating publisher. And then the books that are on the cover also have the interior cover, it has the information about the book. So I think that's really neat. We do a similar sort of cooperative program with Forward Reviews and with Library Journal. And then we offer member benefit discounts on booking advertising direct with all of these all these trade magazines. And we also do it with Kirkus Reviews. So that's definitely, those are really cool programs to check out. The availability is generally pretty limited. And I'm really glad that it's a way that we can get your books in front of the people in the industry. And you'll see I added the circle. So this is to reach the trade, and it's sort of reaching other people's audiences, right? It's not you building your audience. Okay, so then we do a bunch of book fairs. As I mentioned, we're going to Bologna for the first time. This is an example of what our booth looks like at Frankfurt. And I mentioned the sort of international rights opportunities with Frankfurt because Frankfurt and Bologna are really focused on that, on selling the translation rights for your books. We also are partnered with Dropcap. There are two different angles for the program. One is if you have one book, or if you have 2 to 10 books, it's a slightly different program than if you have 10 or more books. And you can definitely explore these. All this information is available through that on our website. But Dropcap is an agency, and if you have 10 or more books, the way it works is that you basically are signing up with them for them to be the agency that represents your books for foreign rights sales, and they make their money by selling the translation rights to your book. And they have a lot of very cool, we're starting to get some success stories because we launched this program and it takes a while for the rights deals to come through. So we're pretty excited about that. The 1 to 10 books works differently. It is a program where you can put your book in their system, and if it gets interest, then you have a choice. You can either sign up with Dropcap or you can pursue following up with the lead yourself. But you don't have to sign the contract in advance. So the two different systems for depending on how many books you're trying to exploit the translation rights for. Okay, NetGalley. Sean runs the NetGalley program. So I'm going to pass it to him and let Sean explain what is NetGalley.
Thank you, Lee. Yeah, just looking through the chat, I definitely already see some names of people who I've either chatted with over the phone or corresponded over email with about having their books on NetGalley or just that process. But essentially, NetGalley is one of the marketing programs that we have that allows our members to put an electronic version of their book up on the website of NetGalley. And NetGalley is essentially a network with over 500,000 readers, a lot of whom are interested in reading digital galleys of books, the electronic copy, but also for listening to audiobooks. And most people will end up participating in this program before the publication date of their book as a way to get a substantial number of consumer reviews, but also in order to just promote the book, get people's eyes on it, and plant the idea in the head of people who are looking for new books to read that this might be something that they could buy later on or recommend to somebody else. So in terms of that aspect of it, I think it is really helpful for people who are looking for ways to get the word out about a book that's coming up. You're of course free to reach out to me over email or call the office if you have any questions. I know this slide right here is a little bit daunting just because there's so many options that we have available for it. But essentially, we've broken it down so that you can list your digital galley up for 3 or 6 months. I can say that just anecdotally, most people will opt for the 3-month start, which I think is a nice way of doing it. If you find that you want your book up for more time, you're always welcome to negotiate with me, or we can do the 6-month option. And so people will basically, you'll get a whole list of people who download the book, and I can send you the contact information for people who have downloaded and or left feedback or reviews on this book so that you can get in contact with them. Some of them might be like book trade professionals or librarians who are interested in corresponding or following up with you, about buying the book or getting it in their library or something of that nature. You'll also see that there's quite a lot of audiobook options. That's a bit of a different process. It's similar to the way I put up the digital galleys, but you need to go through a different process of preparing the files. It's fairly self-explanatory, and whenever you buy any of these products, there's detailed instructions that are going to be emailed to you. So, of course, though, you're always welcome to reach out to me about any of the technical aspects of it, and I'm glad to help. And just sort of lastly, you'll see there's a whole load of promotional opportunities that we offer. One of them, you'll see that category spotlight top 4 categories. That's one of the most, I would say, popular promotions that we do, just because there are a lot of mystery and thrillers, sci-fi and fantasy, romance and YA novels that go on NetGalley, but there's plenty of other subject categories that get a lot of attention as well that people are interested in. So it's just something to think about if you're interested in more than just listing the book on NetGalley, but also promoting it and getting it on a very visible spot of the website.
If I recall correctly, Sean, when a book goes up on NetGalley, it gets featured in like new, but then it can pretty quickly get there's a lot of new.
Correct. Yeah, people are just quite frequently posting books on NetGalley, and our administrative account typically has over 120 up to 150 or 175 books listed. So it can get a little bit competitive, honestly, in terms of books getting attention, and the promotions are essentially a way that you can renew the exposure that the book gets while it's up on the website.
And one of the things that IBPA also does is that the 3-month listing is exclusive with IBPA.
Correct. Yes. NetGalley does offer a 6-month option. Ours is cheaper, and they also do not offer a 3-month option. So ours is definitely advantageous in terms of the price comparison. And now they recently updated this. They do not offer audio options. So going through us is definitely has a degree of exclusivity. And if you're looking to get your audiobook up, it's definitely a good option.
And we're always looking for that. How do we make the program more beneficial to IBPA members than if you just went directly to the organization? So thanks. That's really helpful, Sean. Anything else they should know about NetGalley?
I don't want to inundate the chat, but I am going to include a few things that are just that they're accessible through the member benefit page, but they're presentations either from NetGalley or documents that we include that have a lot of instructions or information. Again, I know it's sometimes kind of hard to just keep up with what's in the chat. So if anybody who's in this meeting would like to reach out to me or needs an extra copy of it, feel free to email me and I'll send it along.
And something else that Sean said that I wanted to point out that's true about all our programs is that anytime you order a program from IBPA, there is a downloadable PDF document, usually called Next Steps, that kind of walks you through it, step by step. What do you do next? What do you have to prepare? Where do you have to give your information? Because we want to set you up for success. Christopher, you popped in.
I did. Yeah, we have tons of questions. I'll wait till the end to ask them. I did want to clarify one thing. So with the audiobooks, NetGalley offers a subscription for audiobooks, but what they don't offer is what we now only offer is individual audiobooks. So we'll post the audiobooks. So I just want to make sure that you can technically go through them to do audiobooks, but you'd have to have like 1 or 2 a month or whatever. And most of our members generally have, 1 a year or maybe 2 a year. So anyway, I wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, I should have mentioned that. In terms of the single title listing, if you're not doing it consistently, it's just the price comparison is far better if you're going through IBPA.
Super. All right. Thanks, Sean. All right. We're going to keep going because I want to get to your questions. Okay, so then this is pretty new for IBPA in the last 2 years. We've been working at building up some consumer marketing options for you. So when we talk about consumers, we're talking about building awareness and buzz. One of the things Netflix does is it does help you build buzz. Making sure your book is available, social proof, where they're going to purchase it. With the idea that it's best to be broad in where your book is available rather than specific to a specific retailer, or exclusive to a specific retailer. Consumer reviews, and then also repeat customers, thinking about like, well, if they like that book, they might like your future book. How are you going to be able to reach them to tell them about it? And then in this sort of like lightly like secret font, I wrote, metadata is key to discovery. because actually metadata sounds scary, but it is the stuff behind your book, like the cover, the stuff that's not your book that helps your book be discovered online. I popped this slide in here just to say that IBPA focuses on three things: advocacy, education, and tools for success. A lot of the book marketing programs fall under tools for success, but education really plays a part in this too, because if I can get the screen to advance. No, I can't get the screen to advance. That's really interesting. Hold on. Oh, I jumped ahead. Okay, I'm like, what happened? Okay, here we go. Education. I completely skipped. I don't know. I must have hit the wrong thing. My apologies. Okay, consumers. So these are the four consumer programs, well, three consumer programs that we currently offer. One of them is brand new, the Consumer Marketing Eblasts, which is powered by Ingram. We also have a member benefit for some of the Comic Cons, where you can get a table in the writer's block at the Read Pop Comic Cons. We have a public radio author interview that's pretty cool. We have a discount with Bookie Call, which is actually now a benefit. And we have just, it hasn't been announced yet, but sneak peek for all of you, we have arranged for a discount on promoting your book, your audiobook with AudioFile magazine. And we are looking ahead at what other things that we might be able to offer. There's also the paper trail IBPA member benefit that I wanted to mention. So let me tell you a tiny bit more about the Consumer Marketing E-Blast, because this is literally, we launched it a month ago. So Ingram Consumer Marketing Group has spent a sizable chunk of money and a sizable amount of time in building these consumer lists. And these are verified consumers, verified readers that have expressed a particular interest in one of these categories. And then, so there's two kinds of e-blasts. One is to their full list, 800,000 consumers. And then we also have these sort of like smaller call out lists for mystery thriller, young adult, romance, women's fiction, nonfiction, and science fiction and fantasy. This is a screenshot from our inaugural eBlast. It went at the end of January to 800,000 consumers. And we're pretty excited about this in terms of giving access to this enormous consumer list. Now, Ingram won't give us the list, but you can decide where you're sending them. When they click on the cover of your book and your read more, you send them wherever you want. So you can send them to a retailer, but it might be smarter to send them somewhere where you can offer them something to get their email address. So you start to build your own consumer marketing, your own consumer list. Again, think about that stadium thing. So the stadium metaphor. And then there are listed, this is a screenshot from our member benefits page. There are a lot of different member benefits that IBPA offers in terms of reaching consumers. Some of them are these programs, and some of them are things I haven't mentioned. There's a cool like texting service. There's mailing, direct mail service. So it's well worth checking out. Okay, back to what I was saying about education. We have a metadata resource center, and these are this is a mix of articles and webinars, things to understand that the way that your book gets discovered online, which is how a lot of books are being found by consumers, really pivots on how good your metadata is. And metadata is not one of those things that you should do once and then sort of forget about it. It's something that you really do need to continually update. We do offer some expert consultations. One is a metadata makeover project, and the other is the Dr. Amazon evaluations, where we have Ian Lamont is an expert in Amazon detail pages, and he will walk you through and give you a video evaluation and suggestions on how to improve a single book's Amazon setup. And in terms of the product pages, and that is information that you can then use to improve how your book is set up for all your books. Same idea with the metadata makeover. We have a handful of experts that can help you get your metadata for one book as good as possible, and then it's something that then you can apply that knowledge to your other books. We also have, these are pretty new, a targeted media list and pitching tutorial, and as well as a customized marketing plan. And this is with Jared Kuritz, who is actually teaching a marketing 6-week workshop for IBPA. One of the interesting things about this public relations thing is that it's different from the IBPA media outreach program, where we pay thousands of dollars a year to have access to the Meltwater PR system, which lists and allows us to email all these media people across all these different kinds of media, like newspapers, magazines, radio, podcasts, etc. And so we send out a pitch that we designed for you to these media folks, and then they request a review copy for their editorial consideration. This is a different program because this is more, you're getting a list of like a list of 25 or so contacts that you're specifically saying, I want to figure out who are the bloggers that are talking about vegan cooking or whatever, because I have a vegan cookbook, and this is a way that you can get that list. Jared uses Cision, and he's able to generate the lists in that way. So those are different programs, but similarly public relations. Okay, and then there's lots of educational opportunities. We really try to give our members a lot of opportunity to connect and to learn. So I've just a rundown. Every month we do 2 different roundtables that are free for members, one for indie publishers and one for author publishers. We also have monthly webinars that are more focused on a particular area of knowledge to help you all learn stuff. That one coming up in March is going to be on Pinterest for publishers. So at the end of those, we also hang out for community time, where we talk. It's kind of like when you go to a really good session at an in-person conference and you want to hang out afterwards and talk with the people that attended it with you. So we do that virtually also. Christopher, our colleague, hosts the fantastic IBPA podcast, which is called Insight Independent Publishing with IBPA, and that's free for everybody. We have a magazine that goes out every 2 months, which is called the IBPA Independent. We also have launched Slack with affinity groups. We have 4 different affinity groups on Slack, and we have about 25 different channels of discussion, ranging from AI to distribution. And the goal is really to be helpful. We have over 200 members on Slack, and we really just launched it last month. So we're pretty excited about that. And like I mentioned, we have these 6-week workshops on scalable book marketing that are small groups. And then we have our biggest annual in-person conference happens once a year. As Christopher mentioned, it's going to be in Denver this year. And we hope you can join us live. And if you can't, there is the option of just getting access to the recordings and the slides from that. So we try to offer a lot. We try to really provide the information that you tell us you're needing, that you want. I think it's really important to be clear about defining your goals and defining your audience, and using a sort of experimental lens when you go and try these marketing things. A lot of the programs that IBPA runs, we've really worked hard to make the cost affordable, so it isn't scary. It isn't this overwhelming thing that like hiring a PR company can be like, a 5-month contract for $3,000 a month. That's $15,000. That is out of the reach of many IBPA members. So we wanted to come up with a program that gave access to some PR, and that's the media outreach program. And it's $350 to send a pitch. And again, it's like the power of cooperative, of the cooperative community, right? We're able to pay the thousands and thousands of dollars to be members of Meltwater because we have a lot of publishers helping us pay that. And then just to kind of wrap up again, this idea that, think about, is it marketing? Is it PR? Are you trying to reach trade? Are you trying to reach consumers? And then going back to the idea of what your goal is, and who your audience is, try experimenting, try something, and if it works, great, lean into it. And if it doesn't work, then shift and try something else. And that is my screen sharing. I'm going to stop screen sharing, and we can get to your questions, and I can go into more detail about stuff.
Thank you so much, Lee. I know that's a lot for everybody. We wanted to just go through everything, but every single one of these things that we mentioned is on the member benefits page and has a full description, as well as IBPA staff is, of course, available and happy to give you more information about them. So I would say we'll put in the chat, but email info@ibpa-online.org, and you can learn all about them. Okay, so let's start with the questions. So someone was asking about, you talked about the like Frankfurt Book Fair, the foreign rights and all that. So they were saying their understanding is that book fairs or where deals get done, not where they are begun. Does IBPA have a relationship with foreign agents and anticipates that discussions begin at the fairs or actually get done at the fairs?
So the way that Frankfurt has worked for us is that Terry, who has been going, I don't even know for how many decades, and Terry basically has meetings scheduled throughout the day, all day, every day. I remember one year it was like, I have 75 meetings. And so he's basically, the books are on the shelves behind him, and he'll have a meeting and he'll say, what are you interested in? And they'll be like, oh, I'm really looking for a vegan cookbook. And Terry will be like, oh, that's amazing, because we have a vegan cookbook right there on the shelf. I don't know. I'm just in a vegan cookbook kind of place, Christopher.
I love it. Keep it up.
So, and then Terry has built these relationships over years with these different sales agents, just like Dropcap has. And in fact, we're looking at the synergies between, Dropcap having a booth not far from IBPA's, and sort of sending people back and forth. We really are trying to, we're not sealing deals there. We are opening the dialogue, and then you would get an email from Terry saying that this foreign rights agent expressed interest. You follow up with them with a digital copy for them to look at, and then you would make the deal independently. IBPA does have a great member benefit, which is a translation rights agreement that is annotated by our legal counsel, who is a publishing expert, Jonathan Kirsch. So that is definitely worth checking out too if you are negotiating those deals yourself.
So, so we have multiple people asking, they want help with figuring out kind of like specifically based on their book and books, if IBPA can help them kind of talk through what the best marketing program or like the different projects we have would be a good fit for them.
Sure. I mean, it's you're going to have to keep an eye on who your audience is. I think that's probably the most important thing. But yeah, let's do a couple.
Yeah, so basically what you would do is, again, Lee, should someone email you directly to then set up a call, or better to do the info to just talk with any one of IBPA's staff?
I mean, we have more than 3,600 members, 3,800 members. It's not scalable for me to have a conversation with everybody.
Yeah.
But certainly, I have a little bit of time each week that I set aside for phone calls with members, and I'm happy to chat. You can certainly email me. But I'm basically going to say, who are you trying to reach? Right, and making sure that you have a handle on what your book is, who the audience is, what are your comps, what are those, you want to close your eyes and imagine your book on the shelf of your ideal reader, and then what are the two books next to it that they also love just as much as they love yours, and then you want to reverse engineer it a little bit. You want to look like, where did those books get interviews, where did the authors get media attention, where did they get reviews, or did they get trade reviews? Where were they marketing? Those kinds of things can really help you in creating your own plan. And oftentimes I find when I have these conversations, and I do have them quite a bit, I'm saying, look, it's not just the universe of IBPA programs and benefits. We're a nonprofit. The goal is to be of the most help. It's not to have you spend all your money on IBPA programs. The goal is we want to be helpful. So if, I talked with somebody the other day and they had a very specific goal of getting school visits because they had picture books, they had books for kids that had an educational sort of spin to it, and they wanted more school visits. And I'm like, okay, well, guess what? Our library Eblasts program is not really right for you, but you should lean into your local. They were in New York State, and there's a New York School Library Association, and I'm like, find out where their conference is, get a table and go sit there with all the other sponsors and hand out flyers for your program, right? Like that is one specific thing that you can do to get towards your goal of getting more school visits. I think that oftentimes it feels kind of like, oh my gosh, I don't know where to look. I don't know where to start. There's never going to be a perfect answer. You just want to, again, have that sense of experimentation. Start small, start with something that feels reasonable, that you can afford, that you feel good about, that the timing is right for. I mean, a lot of the marketing stuff, it doesn't have to be a lot of money. In fact, one of the biggest mistakes we see publishers that are early in their journey doing is they rush. They rush the publication, and so they don't submit their books for editorial review. But you can submit your book for a free editorial review with like forward reviews and with school library journal and library journal and with Publishers Weekly. And there's no guarantee that you'll get an editorial review, but you could, and you didn't spend any money. You just are planning. You're doing the planning work. And then having trade reviews becomes very helpful if you're trying to reach librarians. A lot of times librarians need to show that there are trade reviews that back this up. Again, somebody besides you saying the book is worthwhile, and they can back it up by saying, hey, we have this trade review. And if you don't get the trade reviews, then you can pay. We actually, thanks to Christopher, we have a new deal with member benefit with Kirkus Reviews. Everybody pays for a Kirkus review that isn't a corporate publisher. The good news is that guarantees you a very respected trade review. And I think that's something to keep in mind. Like, again, how are you going to vet your book? How are you going to prove that it has value in the marketplace, which is so crowded?
Yeah, and we have multiple member benefits for different companies. If you miss the free option, we have Forward Reviews, Clarion Review, we have Indie Reader, we have Publishers Weekly, Book Life, multiple. So go to our member benefits page and check them out. Like Lee said, all hope is not gone, but ideally, sure, you would get the free one. Although independent publishers have a little bit more likely than author publishers, but both, it can be quite difficult for certain trade reviews to give you the free one because they have tons and tons of books, and some of which are, some of the biggest books out there that they know are coming out from some of the biggest publishers, and you're fighting against them for the free ones. But the paid ones are completely legitimate from those particular companies. Okay, so we have other questions. Someone was asking about if we have a member benefit that is for like blog posts. So we don't specifically have like blog post services, but someone else was asking if we have a member benefit that's for book clubs. And I will say BookTrib is a member benefit, and they have a book club as like one of their services. So you might want to check that one out. Lee, do we have anything in the works? Have you thought about like book clubs in general, so that members can try to get
we try to start new programs all the time. We had explored starting a program with a book club. It didn't end up working out. So we are on the look for, it is definitely something on our wish list to be able to offer to our members access to a book club audience, because those are really voracious and excited readers. I'm going to check out the book trip thing. I mean, look, I've worked here at IBPA for almost 7 years, and it's like I learn something new every day. Uh, don't feel, I mean, I know it can seem overwhelming, but know that it's okay to not know everything yet. Take some time, go through the member benefits page, look at that sort of program list, and it doesn't have to be the perfect program to start, but start somewhere, because that's how you move forward.
So someone was asking, they're saying their book's already published and they want to know, like, is it too late to do like a marketing plan via something like the Marketing Bootcamp Workshop? Real quick, I'll just say all hope is not lost if your book's already published. Obviously, it's better to, like Lee said, wait to publish until you've really set your book up for success by marketing it before you publish it. But I know there's some people that just didn't do that. You still have a chance to market the book, especially consumers. They've never heard of your book, so that's the first time they're hearing of it. So it's new to them, right? Some of the, especially trade magazines, and then especially maybe the media might be a little less interested. But we don't want you to think, well, great, now I should just write a new book and can't market this one. Don't give up.
But I'll even say that the media outreach program that we run, I mean, half of the books in it are not pre-publication. Half of the books are they're titles that are already out that they're trying to get more traction for. They're trying to get editorial consideration for. I think that, there's we have this box office mentality in our culture that it's like, well, how big a launch was it? Did you get, did you hit the bestseller list? Most publishers that are really established rely on their backlist titles to financially support them as they're, putting out new titles. So if you don't have that backlist yet, you have to build to the backlist, right? So I think it is well worth marketing your backlist titles, but recognize that, if you're going for news, if then you have to somehow figure out, is this evergreen? How am I pitching it? How is my book still relevant? And I think those are questions that help you with the marketing to everybody, right? I don't know, I'm saying right like you're going to respond to that.
They're responding. We know they're out there and they're screaming at their screen. Yes. So someone was asking about like the trade advertising. What's the best one for children's books? We do have one for school library journal specifically. I can tell you that.
Right. We don't run a cooperative ad for school library journal, but we do offer a discount as a member benefit on advertising with school library journal. And also Forward Reviews does a lot of children's reviews. And they focus. What I love about Forward is that they only review things they loved, and they really focus on indies. They don't review stuff from the corporate publishers. So that's really cool, because then the people that are reading Forward Reviews are particularly interested in independently published titles.
So Lee, someone's asking, how we have the Start Strong and Level Up. They're wondering, how do they know, like, what defines them as a Start Strong or a Level Up?
Okay, these are not like hard and fast rules. No one's going to like check your ID to make sure that you're level up. This is just a helpful guideline of what our programs are about. If you don't understand metadata, but you have 6 books out and you're like, oh, wow, I really need to go learn about metadata, you're probably going to go to one of the Start Strong classes or webinars or articles to kind of like, get up on the knowledge that you need so you can do the metadata for your 6 books. We're just trying to create some sort of helpful guidelines. So, because we know there's a lot of stuff and we don't want people to be wasting their time. Like if you are an author publisher and you only publish your stuff that you write, you don't really need to worry about royalty programs, right? Because unless you're paying a royalty to your illustrator. So there's no hard and fast rules, but generally, we're trying to not bog you down with stuff that doesn't apply to you and your specific journey. So yes, in your particular case, you could choose. You could, for everybody, actually, you can choose. If you want aspirationally to attend a level up session, you're welcome to do so. Just we don't want you asking basic questions about how something works because everybody else there already has that basic knowledge. So we're trying to create spaces where we can really tailor the education and the programming for that group.
And someone's asking about, does IBPA have a list of foreign rights agents that authors and publishers can access? So we have the Dropcap member benefit. We also have the IBPA Frankfurt Book Fair program. So Lee, can you tell them like about the idea of getting like a list of agents from those?
Yeah, I mean, so we don't. So I think I'm understanding. Like, are you so there's an agent that can represent your book to translation rights people in other countries that may want to translate your book. So there's the rep, and then there's those agents in those other countries. We don't offer a list of agents in those other countries. That's pretty much I think if you participate in the Frankfurt Book Fair, you may get access to that list of everybody that Terry had a meeting with, but I don't know that we actually share the list. It's something that we've built over decades. And similarly, those relationships are what Dropcap really leans on. And I don't think they're going to provide a list either. It's certainly something you can start to build yourself. Again, it's that whole thing, like, is it your list or is it somebody else's list?
Yeah, well, for like Frankfurt afterward, people that showed interest that he met with in like your book, like he'll send you a list and then you'll contact them. But you don't get like the full list of like everybody who was at like the Frankfurt Book Fair or something like that.
And that's pretty similar to a lot of our programs, like the library eBlast program. You don't get a list of the 5,000 librarians it went out to. You just get a list of the 20 to 40 librarians that clicked on your book that wanted to learn more.
But the good thing about that is they specifically are interested in your book, so now they're like prepped to hear more about it. So that's why that's helpful. But yeah, I mean the ALA conference is super awesome because when we go to that one, we have this little badge scanner and we scan the badges of all the librarians that come, and you do get that list, and you can email them and they know that you're reaching out regarding like, hey, you stopped by the booth, and it's a really helpful way to connect to librarians. And of course, with everything, you don't want to overwhelm them. You're just kind of one like reminder, hey, I know you're interested in my book. Thank you. Would you like to learn more or whatever? Okay, so I wanted to mention some people. You had mentioned the resource centers, Lee, and those are specifically for IBPA members, as are all the benefits. And so if you want to access the resource centers, you can as a member. You'll go to our resources tab on our website. You'll scroll down to where it says resource centers, and we have multiple. We have like a distribution resource center, the metadata resource center, Lee, and multiple others. But you need to be a member and you have to be signed in to be able to access them. But they are incredibly helpful in terms of just learning so much information about those different topics. I know Lee's done a lot of work to put those together, so definitely take advantage of those. And I want to make sure that, again, people, with all of the member benefits, everything we've talked about today is on that main list of member benefits. You can learn, more about each one. I would recommend emailing the info at ibpa-online.org, and one of us can answer more questions. So that's some of the other questions that are in the Q&A. We can answer a little more individually. But Lee, is there anything you want to do to kind of round things up before we end the recording?
I'll just say that I'll hang out after we end the recording and answer some of the individual questions. I just really appreciate that you all are here and that you want to learn more about IBPA's programs. And please know that our goal is to empower you and to set you up for success. And IBPA's motto, which is to help each other achieve and succeed, we really live by that. And that's what we want.
Yeah, thanks, Lee. I mean, I 100% agree that, what I love the most is the whole community about everything. And like you said, I know we're talking about a lot of these programs that are specifically through IBPA, but we have tons of benefits that are literally just discounts on different companies that we know are, huge, everybody uses. And we're nonprofit, so we genuinely want to help you. And there are times when we'll talk to someone and say, I don't know if this is a good fit for you. I don't know if it'll be as successful for your books. And we'll just seldom probably don't do it, you know. So we're in terms of like sales, we're not trying to push hard. We really just want your book to succeed in the program. And also, we don't want to set you up and to be like, hey, it's going to be great, and then it doesn't succeed as much, and then like that, we don't look good doing that. So we want you to set you up for success. So thanks everyone for listening. We really appreciate it, and we're always available to chat. And we genuinely appreciate you all being members, and we hope we can help serve you. Thank you.